Cellular Dreams has come out swinging with their sophomore UHD release, and it is at the top of my list as one of the best 4K UHD presentations of 2025. Hey movie junkies, welcome back to Twin Flicks, where we're here celebrating the magic of movies and physical media with you. Now this is a special review to me I've been working on for a couple months now, because today we are taking a look at one of the best and one of my all-time favorite giallos, Short Night of Glass Girls on 4K UHD from our friends over at Cellular Dreams. Now even though Cellular Dreams is a fairly new studio, they have quickly become in my top 3 favorite boutique labels. And just like studios such as Vinegar Syndrome or Second Sight, they also do their own in-house restoration work and color timing. And I had the pleasure of having Lucas Hinkle, CEO of Cellular Dreams, and he also does the color timing and oversees the restoration work of the releases. I had him on my channel and we talked a lot about the color timing differences in this compared to other releases and the restoration of this film, and just about Cellular Dreams and restoration work on 4Ks in general. So if you missed that, definitely go check it out. I'll put the link down below in the description. Now, Short Night of Glass Dolls comes at us with a fresh new 4K scan, forming a 4K DI with HDR10 grading and preserving a theatrical ratio of 2:3:5:1, and the restoration work and color timing was handled and completed by Celluloid Dreams. Now, I do own the previous Blu-ray that came out, I believe, in 2018 from Twilight Time, which looked great. I really didn't have any problems with it. So let's dive in and compare how this 4K stacks up against this previous Blu-ray release, and also stay tuned after the review for a lowdown on all the bonus material, because this thing is jam-packed. It's massive with what they included on these discs, including another cut of the film and some special goodies that came with this set. So stay tuned after the review for that. And the results are a stunning example of the power behind what 4K and HDR10 grading can really do and accomplish for a 53-year-old film. The HDR10 grading really opens up the color gamut much wider now, and yes, the 4K grading does look a bit dimmer than the Blu-ray does, but this is also to the benefit of the film, where the Blu-ray had many overly bright, overly exposed, and blown out shots. For instance, this scene in particular, the daylight is overly exposed, looking blown out on his face. Also with the kids in the background, the ground, and the wall. The 4K looks much more accurately displayed now, that also draws out more information in the background, and this is one out of many shots like this. The dreary Prague skyline shown under the opening titles looks more nuanced and more subtle now than the Blu-ray did, along with varied ranges of grays and browns, while also displaying splashes of lush greens from foliage. And the dimmer look reflects Prague and the atmosphere, unlike the Blu-ray that was way too warm and bright. The 4K grading also harks back to the film's use of blues. This is especially noticeable in the morgue. You can see an obvious difference here between the 4K and the Blu-ray. And also this scene here with the characters in a room at night with shadows coming through the Venetian blinds. The Blu-ray is much brighter and doesn't carry the blue hue as the 4K does. And because of this, it actually looks like studio lights are shining through the blinds instead of having natural light. Again, the Blu-ray extracting the blue hue, the scene looks overly bright, creating weak shadows that in turn also creates an almost flat, lifeless image. The 4K grading, on the other hand, is based off the original source material with the blue hue coming into the room. It gives off much deeper shadows that creates a more authentic appearance that plays very well off the black levels, which creates a much more truer and tangible image. It's a much better representation of the film. As for the rest of the color palette, this new grading is truly striking. First, skin tones are warmer and looking healthier and natural too, unlike the Blu-ray that really leaned or pushed on a palish side, almost looking sickly with the skin tones. and as the film gets going, the colors really come to life. The soiree scene is a great example with all the varied 70s colors from clothing such as the dress that has a really nice separation now between the gold and the gray within the dress, or the purple dress that stands out with deep vividness, even down to the greens of the crushed velvet curtains that line the room. And again, this is just one scene out of many where the colors really spring to life with more activity, nuances, and pop that also carries a wider contrast ratio, creating real luminous within the image. And this is just something the Blu-ray severely lacked. Now, one area of this 4K I was really curious about is the black levels. So much of the film is bathed in deep shadows, dim lighting, or night scenes. And the Blu-ray had a lot of problems with this. Not so much with crushing out details, but mainly with bright or even some slightly grayish black levels. Which is a real shame because director Aldo Lado loved using deep black levels and shadows to the point they appear almost impenetrable at times. 4K with the HDR grading gives us those outstanding and striking blacks and strong healthy shadows that are deeper and truer, even pitch black at times where it needed to be. And this really showcases the cinematography design and the atmosphere of the film much better. The library scene is a prime example of this, and while the image does look darker than the Blu-ray, it really draws out much more within the image, such as finer details, giving a much more truer and richer cinematic experience on this 4K. The image quality here is just stunning. The 4K scan has done a nice cleanup job, while also any inherited imperfections or anomalies remain intact, giving a filmic appearance. The higher resolution gives more finer lines within the image, looking clear and as sharp as it can be without the use of artificial sharpening done. And any softness that is there is just inherited from the source material and not a problem with the transfer, as I've heard some say it is. I did also notice some slight artifacts and the occasional hair in the gate that are clearly visible, but again, this is all inherited from the source material. Close-ups reveal skin textures, pores, finer lines, facial hair, and makeup that stays sharp and clear. All the different locations displays wonderful texture and depth to them that is presented with strong clarity levels. Objects also appear much more tangible with a nice slight sheen to them. And we can make out more internet details on objects such as the gun, or even down to telephones and dishware, backgrounds from wall textures, objects, details that litters the room, and exteriors all come to life in a nice amount of depth and three-dimensionality that really showcases the production design, the makeup effects, the wild cinematography, filling the 2:3:5 to 1 frame, allowing the film to really breathe and creating a fantastic cinematic appearance. The grain structure is also something of note with this 4K. The Blu-ray wasn't bad with the grain structure, however, I did notice it did have some grain reduction. The 4K, however, has much better resolved an organic looking grain field that looks tight with some natural movement, giving a beautiful filmic appearance throughout. I will say though that some areas are much heavier with the grain than other areas, especially at night, but it looks much more filmic and better than the Blu-ray did. Alright, now let's dive into the audio of this 4K, and the 4K features two audio tracks, the original Italian mix and an English dub mix. Both are mixed in DTS HD mono, and I did listen to the English dub mix for somewhat of the film, and it did sound great. But we don't want a dubbed audio track. You do not want to watch this or any giallo film, or any foreign film for that matter, dubbed in English. We don't go there. We stay with the original language audio track on all films, as one should. And this track does sound clearer and much more open than the Blu-ray mix does. Sound effects come through with ease, there's no problem, and the film score sounds excellent. There's also some really nice low ends that has some surprising amount of depth to it that really helps with the score and sound effects, giving some more activity and also some nice weight in it. And dialogue is rendered crisp and clean and easy to understand. Music nor sound effects ever drown out any part of the dialogue. Guys, Cellular Dreams has come out swinging with their sophomore UHD release, and it is at the top of my list as one of the best 4K UHD presentations of 2025 yet. I cannot wait to see what Cellular Dreams comes out next for us. This is an outstanding 4K UHD presentation that definitely deserves your attention, and if you own this Twilight Time Blu-ray, it's definitely a must upgrade from this Blu-ray. But now I'm curious to hear what you have to say between the color timing of the Blu-ray and the 4K. When you look at the differences here between the two formats, the Twilight Time previous Blu-ray release and Celluloid Dreams' new 4K UHD release, which do you like better? Head over to the comment section and let me know. Alright guys, now we're going to dive into all the extras. First off, if you order directly from Celluloid Dreams, you receive these 4 extra large lobby cards. These are a real treat to always have with this release. Usually boutique labels will just send small postcard size lobby cards. Celluloid Dreams goes the extra mile by providing us with these extra large lobby cards, and it's great because you can also use these to hang on the wall. Also included on this release is a really nice treat. We have a part of the film print. And again, this is only something that you can get if you order directly from Celluloid Dreams. And then next, we also have an included really hefty booklet that is 57 pages. It contains a commemorative essay on Aldo Laudo by historian Andy Marshall Roberts. It also includes additional information about the film, including behind the scenes photos, poster work, and much more. And it includes an in-depth look at the restoration process. Now, the bonus material are spread over 4 discs, including a fully dedicated Blu-ray disc. Now, first, the UHD and the Blu-ray disc that houses the film also contains a new audio commentary track, Guido Hinkle, and this is a fantastic audio commentary that you definitely have to listen to, and if you're into filmmaking or giallo films at all, it's a must listen. And the remaining features are located on a 3rd dedicated Blu-ray disc. It includes 2 interviews with the writer-director Aldo Laudo. The best one is definitely from 2015, and it's an in-depth interview with Laudo that runs almost an hour and 40 minutes, called The Knights of Malstrana. He dives deep into his career, all the ins and outs with the difficulties of making the film, from writing, casting, and everything in between. It's a really fascinating and excellent interview that is by far my favorite on the disc, and is definitely a must-watch, especially if you're into filmmaking on any kind of level. And also watching this interview helped me appreciate the film even more than I already do. Next up, we have a 30-minute retrospective interview on the career of Aldo Laudo, and this does include an interview, I believe it's from 2020 if I'm not mistaken, and this is a really nice celebration of his career as he goes through the films that he has made. Next up, we have a new interview with producer Enzo Doria, and he spends about 20 minutes or so detailing on how he was able to finance the film when no one believed in it and he couldn't get financing, and also he talks about the production. This is another excellent interview, taking a little peek behind the curtain. And we have a new interview with co-producer Dieter Giesler, and this runs about 30 minutes or so, and he dives into the global logistics of the film during its troubled release. And we also have another new excellent interview with Italian soprano Ida Del Rosa, who also is a frequent collaborator with legendary composer Ennio Morricone, who also scored Glass Dolls. Next up, we have a new and yet another interview that quickly became another favorite interview of mine on this disc, and that's with the film's editor Mario Mora. He talks about not only this film, but also all the other films he's worked on, and also his unique editing style and his approach of tackling Glass Dolls. And next up, we have a new retrospective of the film called The Kafka Connection. This is narrated by film historian Howard Berger as he dives deep into Aldo Laudo's rising as a writer-director of Glass Dolls and how it reflected the political tyranny during the later 60s and into the early 70s. And we also have a couple really cool additions here with the film's opening title that was changed depending on the region of the film's release. One is called Malstrana, and the other is Catalepsis. And if I'm not wrong here, I believe Catalepsis was the title change for the US market. And then lastly, we have the 4th disc in this set, which is home to the Grindhouse version of the film, sourced from a 35mm archival lab print, and also includes the VHS English dubbed cut named Paralyzed. Alright guys, well thanks so much for hanging out with me for a few minutes here as we get into Short Night of Glass Dolls on 4K UHD from Celluloid Dreams. And also make sure you pick this up from Celluloid Dreams. I'll have the link down below where you can purchase it. That way you can help support this small boutique company, and your support helps them bringing out more great releases like this. As always, guys, keep physical media alive, and we'll see you next time with our 4K versus Blu-ray comparison.
Twin Flicks presents 4K versus Blu-ray.